lesson number 17. Today we're going to be talking about intermediate intervals. So we learned basic intervals in the last lesson, and in this lesson we're going to do intermediate intervals. They're not going to be that much harder, but it's important that you know your scales, your major scales especially, and the difference between, whole tones, semitones, and basically what semitones are. So if you don't know any of that stuff, go back to the previous lessons and review that until you feel comfortable with that, and then we can continue. Okay, so let's get started. Okay guys, so here's the first part of intermediate intervals. Now, here's the problem, why we have to add more to like seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, all that other stuff. Now, if I just go, a third, so that could be from, F to A, or A to C, or B to D. Now, what's the problem with all these? Well, the thing is, sometimes on them, they have different relationships, like the amount of semitones between the two is actually different. From F to A, it's actually 4 semitones. But from A to C, it's 3 semitones. So we can't use the same third to diagnose the same distance, because then it's kind of inaccurate. Like, technically it's correct, but it's also inaccurate in the sense that it doesn't pinpoint the exact number of semitones and its relationship to the key. Now this can sort of sound kind of confusing, so yeah, you'll just have to bear with it and don't worry about it too much. So basically, the major and the minor are basically there to show you and pinpoint more, it's sort of like a more direct location of how close it is. So it's sort of like, when you have postal addresses, you have like the country, and then you have the city, the province, or the state or whatever, and then after that it goes to like the city or the county or whatever, and it's getting more and more and more accurate as you go down, right? The information keeps getting more and more accurate. So, well, technically I guess up, because usually you have the inaccurate stuff at the bottom and you read upwards or whatever, but anyway. So this is basically like a system of making it more accurate, and it's required if you're going to do anything high in theory. So this is very important. Okay, so now I'll try to explain this chart here. So what we've got here is we've got a major third and a minor third. And so the difference between the two is pretty much 1 semitone, okay? So in the major, it's going to be 1 semitone bigger than the minor, which is 1 semitone smaller. Now, if you can find one, you should be able to find the other. So this is how you find the major. If you want to know if it's a major interval or not, it needs to fall on the major, or it needs to fall within the major scale of that key. So think of it this way. If I'm on F, in F major, does A occur in the F major scale? Let's see. So there's a B flat in the key signature for F, so it goes F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Okay, so B flat is the only flat. That means A should be there. Okay, so it does. And what does it just happen to land on? F, G, F, G, F, G, A. It's the third one in the major scale. And now notice how it's the major third? That's not coincidence. It's going to happen everywhere you go. So it has to be the third note, and it also has to fall within the major scale of the bottom note. Always look at your bottom note, okay? That's how you can find your intervals a lot easier, because you'll take the bottom note and then apply it to the key signature and see if it fits the major scale of that key signature. So this requires you that you know your scales, and if you do that, you can basically just rip through these really, really quick. You can just look at them and know exactly what they are. But if you don't know the key signatures and how they lie out, it's a little bit more difficult. Okay, so you basically go through the major scale, and if it doesn't fall on it, what do? Well, basically what a minor third would be is if it was this, it looks like a third, but it's 1 semitone lower than what it should be in the major scale. Okay? So major third follows the major scale. A minor third doesn't follow the major scale. It's 1 semitone lower than what the major would have been. Okay? It's always 1 semitone lower, every time. Okay? So Now there are other ways you can sort of go along with this. other things to help you memorize this is that you can count the semitones between it. So if you were on a piano, it would be on F, right there, and then to A. So it'd be 1 semitone, 2 semitone, 3 semitone, 4 semitone. Okay? So anything that's 4 semitones is a major third. Although I don't actually rely on this because it's not totally accurate, because you could be playing an F to an A, but it could be written something different on your sheet music. Like it could be written as an E sharp to an A. Okay, so you could have E sharp here to A. And 4 semitones, yes, the distance is 4 semitones, but you wouldn't actually even call it a major third. This is where it gets into advanced intervals, where you get into, like, that would be an augmented third. Or, sorry, not an augmented third. It would be an it would be an augmented third. What am I even talking about? Yeah, so if it was from E, no, it wouldn't be a third because, sorry. It wouldn't be a third because it doesn't look like a third. So it'd be a fourth, so it would be, yeah, it would be a perfect fourth. But it would technically be 4 semitones. But based on how it's written, it would look different. I think I might have got that wrong. I don't know, for some reason my brain didn't work there. Yeah, I don't know. I just finished my teaching week, but I have some stuff I have to do over the weekend, so I'm kind of like cramming this in. So I just finished a whole week of teaching, and usually I'm kind of tired by the end of the week, but I'm going to try to do my best and give you guys a good lesson here. Okay, so continuing onwards, when we get to advanced intervals, you'll be able to figure it out for yourself when I teach all the principles to that. But basically, so majors and minors, okay? So minors are always 1 less than the major counterpart, 1 less semitone, and that's basically it. So I have to tell you about basically the different, where the majors and the minors go. Well, there's basically, how do I put this? There are kind of like exceptions. So there are some intervals that can be major and minor and others that won't. So that's the next thing I want to show you guys, is where this happens and what to look out for. So let's get going on that. Alright guys, so here is basically where the exceptions lie. So we've got major and minor, okay, so that's one kind of universe in all of itself, and then in the other universe, or galaxy, or whatever you want to call it, is the perfect intervals, okay? So the perfect intervals are basically, they are just perfect. They're not major or minor. So if you go from a perfect fifth, so if you draw a fifth and it falls within the major key signature, it's just called a perfect interval, okay? So like from C to G is a perfect fifth. From D to A is a perfect fifth. From E flat to B flat is a perfect fifth. From E to B is a perfect fifth. From F to C is a perfect fifth. From G to D is a perfect fifth. From A to E is a perfect fifth. Now the only one that isn't a perfect fifth is B to F would not be a perfect fifth. It would be B to F sharp, okay? Because B to F sharp is in the key signature of B major. So basically you would it would automatically fall in the sharp. So if you're going B to F, it wouldn't be that. But I'll tell you what it is in the next lesson, okay? So just for now, this is what I want you to remember. This is the most important thing here. Memorize that majors and minors are either seconds, thirds, sixths, sevenths, and I kind of added ninths, but you don't even really need to know that, really. It's just seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths, okay? Seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths, okay? Memorize that. Now below here are perfect intervals. 1 is sort of added in, but really it's not really that used, so again, it's just extra. 4, 5, and 8 are the main ones. Excuse me? Oh. I had some grape juice in it. Keep having to burp. Anyway, okay, so perfects, 4, 5, and 8, those 3 right there. Now, for majors and minors, here's basically what I like to think in my head. So if I have a third, it can either be a minor or a major, based on the semitones. So if it falls within the major scale, it's a major, and if I take it down a semitone, it becomes a minor third, okay? Now, I'm going to expand upon this thing next lesson. And now, okay, so perfect. So say I have a fourth, or I could have a fifth or an eighth or whatever, but I just chose fourth for the example here. you'd put a p in front of it, you'd go p4, or p4th I should say. So that represents perfect fourth. For here you put plus third or minus third for major or minor third, and then you're being really precise. Okay? So again, this perfect interval has to fall within the major scale of whatever the bottom note is. So if you have D, okay, the perfect fourth will be the fourth scale in the scale of D major. So D, E, F sharp, G. So D to G is a perfect fourth. Okay? So basically, perfect fourths, they only have the one option of being perfect for now. Next lesson we're going to expand upon this. And then minor and major, they only have minor or major possibilities. Okay? Now there's one last thing that I wanted to show you guys, because you can get these intervals by doing sometimes weird things like using double sharps and double flats. So I was just going to show you what they look like. So let's go on to that. Hey guys! Okay, so double flats and double sharps really aren't that hard. It's actually very simple. All a double sharp is it looks like an X. So you either put the X in the space or on the line. And a double flat looks like two flats just side by side right together on the same thing going to that. And that's a double flat, and that's a double sharp. Now what the effect that they have is all it just does is it just goes up two semitones. So you bring whatever note you're at and you go up a full whole tone. So from F to G, or you go from B to C, but C sharp. So from B to C is a semitone, and C to C sharp is your next semitone. So if you saw B sharp, you'd actually play a C sharp. Or a B double sharp, you wouldn't be playing B or C, you'd be playing C sharp. That would be B double sharp. And for double flat, G double flat would actually be F, and C double flat would actually be B flat. So memorize that too, because we're gonna have to use them when we do the next stage of the intervals. So yeah. Anyway, now let's get on to some homework. Homework. No. Okay guys, so for your homework, this is what I'd like you to do. So I want you to memorize which ones can be major and minor. So that's the second, the third, the sixth, and the seventh. You could also add ninth if you want to. And which are perfect. So perfect is 1, 4, 5, and 8. Okay? So what I'd like you to do also is draw 60 of the majors and minors and perfect. So what I would actually say you should do is try drawing maybe 30 perfects and 30 majors and minors. And don't go with don't try to do like D sharp or like G flat or whatever unless you are really confident. Just stick to like the white keys. So like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So start with a starting note there, and then pick an interval and draw that interval. Okay? And then from there, draw 30 doubled. So basically draw some double sharps and double flats. But don't put them in your intervals, because if you do, you'll get really confused, and that's actually what we're going to have to do in the next one. Okay? So we're going to be using double flats and double sharps to make intervals in our next lesson. So in this one, just make some intervals, make 30 with the majors and minors and the perfect, and there you go. That should do you. Okay, so if you have any other questions, hopefully they're answered in the next lesson, because this one kind of hints at something more. But anyway, because I want to kind of break it up so it's not too overwhelming all at once. Okay, so I hope you guys found that helpful and that answered all your questions, and you guys are doing good. Okay, so take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. See ya.